In this segment, we will talk about measuring cups and how to use them correctly. So you have small spoons, teaspoons, and a tablespoon, dry measuring cups and liquid measuring cups. So these can be used for either liquids or dry ingredients. These are best used with dry ingredients or solids, and these are best used with liquids. Okay, the best way to measure butter. Most packages come with a guide on the side that you can use to cut your butter. These larger blocks are 2 cups in each block, so if you were to cut it right in half, it would be 1 cup. But if you open it up and then fold down the paper, you can see you can line it up to the edge and measure. When you go to measure wet ingredients, remember that you need to get at eye level to the measurement. Otherwise, from up here, if you look down, it looks like we have closer to 1/3, but we really have 1/4 of a cup of water. Another way to measure solid lard or butter is to put 1/4 of a cup of water in a glass measuring pitcher and then spoon in the solid fats, pushing it under the water until you get to the level you need in your recipe. For example, we need 1 cup of butter, so Hannah's going to put in some and then push it down until the water rises up. Total measurement, if you're using a soft, should be 1 1/4 when the lard's all below the surface of the water. One 1/4. Then when you have the right measurement, you can just pour the water off and scrape the solid fat into your recipe. Brown sugar usually has a specific way that you measure it. You use a dry measuring cup and you pack the brown sugar into the cup. So that means you put some in the cup, you press it down. We like to use our fingers. You should maybe use a spoon. And then you know that it's packed well enough when you pour it out and it stays in its shape. White sugar can just be scooped. Make sure with dry ingredient measurings that you have a level surface, unless it asks for a heaping. A good habit to get into is to break your eggs into a separate dish or container rather than directly into your recipe. That way, if a little shell falls in, you can pick it out. So when you go to measure a liquid in a teaspoon or a tablespoon, you're going to want to fill it right up level to the top of the spoon. So make sure that you have it over your baking dish. Okay, when you go to measure flour, you're going to want to scoop it. Use a spoon or something. We happen to have a scoop in our flour. And put it in your measuring cup for the amount that you're going to need. Fill it as full with a little bit on top and then scrape it level. And that is how you measure flour. Remember, you don't want to scoop with your measuring cup, as that will make it too compact and you'll end up with too much flour in your recipe. Okay, and when you use a teaspoon or tablespoon to measure a dry ingredient, again, make sure that you level it off, unless it calls for a heaping teaspoon or tablespoon.